Hola.
Hi, Miss Lila Downs. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your interest in what we're coming up with lately.
Can you tell us all first, where are you joining us from?
I am in Oaxaca, Mexico, in the south of Mexico, the state that's off the Pacific coast next to Chiapas.
Okay. Well, technology is always a miracle,
It
and
is.
it's so great to see you in such crystal clear color. You look so vibrant and lovely. I think.
You hear? I can't hear you, can't see you. Throw those hands up, shout at me. Yes, we're here! And I'm glad you are, because this is the Paul Leslie Hour, episode number 1082. We are really pleased and fortunate to present a personal interview today with singer-songwriter, performing and recording artist Lila Downs. Lila Downs has a new audiobook coming out September 15th, 25, and it's available on Audible. And furthermore, you're going to want to see her live. She'll be performing in the USA. Just go to liladowns.com, Lila Downs.com. Now, before we bring out our marvelous, lovely guest, please keep in mind that the Paul Leslie Hour is made possible by viewers and listeners like yes. Simply visit www.thepaulleslie.com/support, and we be thanking you. You can also tell a friend or family member about this episode or about the show. They would love to hear from you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the tremendous Lila Downs.
Lovely. I think a great artist like you deserve a formal introduction. Now,
Thank
a lot of you know you are already. Miss Lila Downs is one of the most celebrated and influential artists in Latin America and beyond, and she sings in many languages. She's a Grammy award-winning singer. And for those of us that are here in the United States, I'll also add that next month, there's some tour dates coming up in Arizona, Texas, and quite a few in California. I know everyone is so excited to hear from you. It's a great
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Miss Lila Downs, what has always been the greatest purpose of the art you create?
Wow. I think that there is an aspect to artists that just exist and create without thinking. I think it's just it's like Zen. It's like existing with the fish and the birds and the bees and I think there's a nature that we have when we're probably born out of our genetic makeup in part. And then as we're growing up, we are affected by our surroundings, our culture, our languages, if we have several languages. And I think that's what happened to me. I come from a family of artists, but I wasn't so convinced about being a singer because I loved to sing since I was a child. And so I think what is the intention and what continues to be the intention, I think, is to figure that out. I think that's part of the process. And there was were several things in my life that have happened that created maybe more suffering at one point. And so I think that my expression is about being somehow ignored in society and then trying to figure that out artistically and also to be accompanied by an audience that can relate to our messages.
Well, you just mentioned the audience there, and having seen you perform live, one of the most thrilling things that I remember from seeing you live was to see the look and the reaction and the energy of the audience. And what is that like from your standpoint? You're right there in the center of the stage and you're looking out and you're seeing all these people.
It's very scary. In the beginning, I venture to say that I began performing as a recital singer because I was studying classical voice. And we would have a recital here and there, and it was very scary. And we would focus and concentrate on the notes that you had to sing and how you had to stand. And so it was very analytical in a way. And I think after I graduated from college, I realized that I wanted to live. I wanted to live my music. And and so I started to perform on the streets and also in little clubs and in pizza places and all kinds of small venues and especially on the streets was very interesting to experiment because you have to. It really calls for something outstanding because people are going to work or going to some kind of a reunion or on their way to something. And so in order to get the attention, you really need to make something happen. And I think that was the best teacher for me to figure out what makes people, what moves people from the inside and what motivates people. And I think I still try to connect with the audiences that way. I tried to always have a message of hope, especially of hope, because I come from a Mexican American community and an indigenous Mixtec community in Oaxaca, one of the 69 different languages and ethnicities that exist and are alive in Mexico. And I think it's very important to stress these beautiful realities. And that way I do connect with people who are looking for their identity, for their path in terms of Mexican music, but also their identity in life, I think.
Very interesting. You have an ability to reach all different types of audiences, and depending on where you are, and we'll put in the show notes a link to all the places you're going to be performing upcoming.
Yeah.
But for example, when you were at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, a lot of the people in the audience, maybe they don't know Spanish, so maybe maybe they don't know the language that you're singing a particular song in. What's it like to sing songs like that in front of people that they're hearing you and they're seeing you and they're reacting, but the actual words they do not know?
Yeah, well, I try to do a little brief translation before I perform the piece. You know, it may be about, we use a particular marigold flower, for example, on the Day of the Dead, called Cempasúchil in Nahuatl. And Nahuatl is the language of the Aztecs. And this language is being spoken by over 4 million people in Mexico today. There are this many communities that speak the language. And so this fact is very interesting. So I might just say that and then I'll start singing. So it doesn't become like school. But I think it's fascinating to sometimes translate the message of the song. For example, the Tiringue is a song that is about the particular marigold, and it's in a language from the state of Michoacan, and it tells the story of the accompaniment of beauty during the Day of the Dead and the cycle of life and death. And it's just so simple, as many indigenous or Native American messages can be about our existence. And I find that this makes people connect on the level of the symbolism. And then once they hear the song, they can relate with the harmony and the beauty of the way that it's sung.
I was listening to your duet with Alicia Villarreal.
Yes.
Beautiful the way you two sound together. What makes you decide on a particular duet partner? What makes you want to sing with someone?
I believe that I am very open to all kinds of performers. I think maybe I'm more unusual that way. I believe in the many expressions of humanity. Of course, I admire someone like Alicia who has an amazing career and a beautiful instrument and a beautiful way of singing her songs, and also has had to sing with conviction, because in the regional or traditional genres, we as women have been kind of, you know, not accepted at times or criticized at times. So this is beautiful to be able to connect with another woman who has also had a difficult time in her personal life, in her relationship with her significant others, and that's something that I certainly can relate to on the one level. But of course, musically, I think that we all really appreciate people who are very professional and work very hard on their instrument and their style of music. And I would say that she's one of the very special performers that way. She really works hard on her instrument. She works hard. I got to do the video with her, with their team, and we went out to Jalisco to work on the video. And she's also a very, humble person, and she's down home, and I'm very grateful to have met her and to have been able to do something together.
Well, you just never know who's listening. You never know who's watching. It is not limited to Latin music. The whole world. Is there somebody you would like to do a duet with that you haven't yet, that you're dreaming of?
Well, I think that I'm always very interested in new kinds of voice production that I'm not very familiar with. And in that sense, I think that I really love the flamenco artists. And and so I know that this is kind of crazy, but there's this performer in Spain that I would love to perform with. This is always a question that people have for me, and that I have so many people that I would like to say that I would want to collaborate with. Okay. There's a Spanish singer-songwriter who's called Se Tangana, who I really love. And then I am collaborating, and I will collaborate with Alex Cuba, who is this producer who is now producing our next album called Cambias Mi Mundo, or You Change My World.
Very good. There have been some American recording artists who I think they've used some type of element of Mexican music to great effect. Bob Dylan, Dwight Yoakam. But a lot of people, when they hear somebody say the music of Mexico, they think about one thing. They think about mariachi music. What do you wish more American people knew about Mexican music?
I think it's very important that they know that Mexican music has to do with indigenous roots as well as Spanish roots. And it's a combination of different symbols that have to do with nature, with love, and with a very passionate way of singing and traditions that come from different parts of our country. And I think it's important to appreciate our diversity, as I said before, because this diversity is in mariachi music, and that's why it makes it so much a representation of all of us in Mexico.
You have an audiobook. It's going to be coming out. It'll be on Audible.
Yes.
And it's going to be coming out on September 15th. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, it was beautiful to work with Elvira Lisiaga, who is also collaborating with me on this this audiobook that I worked on. I was starting to work on the story of my background, having a biologist father and a mother who was a performer, and kind of exploring the issue of being a singer and songwriter in these times, and how I do think that it's a difficult position still. So exploring that, I came across Audible. I knew of Audible, of course, before, but they invited me to do a book with Elvira. And so I took them up, and I was very happy to be able to tell my story, tell the story of our music and of my path as a human being, as a woman.
Well, everybody, be keeping that on your radar, September 15th. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I know you're very busy all the time, recording, touring.
Thank you.
It has been a real pleasure to talk to you.
It's a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your interest.
All right. Well, thank you, and you have a wonderful day.
You too. Take care.
All
Bye-bye.
right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
You know, the Paul Leslie Hour is made possible by people like you, listeners, viewers. Please go to thepaulleslie.com/support, and you'll know what to do when you're there. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who contributes. Performance of The Entertainer intro song by John Primorano. And of course, this is your announcer speaking. See you next time on the Paul Leslie Hour.